we in radio use the musical adoption age of 13 to base our demos off of and where we pinpoint our music. All right. So think about 13 years old. You're in your first experiences in middle school and high school, and you are able to emotionally attach to music in a way that you remember it. For me, that was really early. That was 5 and 6. That was, kind of 5 years into MTV. And it was me moving from one side of Milwaukee to the south side of Milwaukee. And I was the kid that was constantly mixtaping. I would tape stuff off of movies, off of VHS, off of television, off the radio, constantly putting it all together. Always had the radio at the park, always had the radio on when I was in the basement building Lego towns. And so we had these really great radio stations in Milwaukee. We also had these really great radio stations in Chicago that you were constantly influenced. The radio's always on in my house, always on in my grandpa's car. Like, I mean, you name it, it was always on. So I knew early that it was something that I really wanted to do. As it progressed, I got to intern a half a day in high school my junior year at a television station in Rockford, Illinois. And I'm like, TV, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. And then my senior year, I did radio just to balance out, see what we got. And I went, whoa, this is way cooler. These guys don't have to get it dressed in suits, and they don't have to shave every single day. And they're playing requests, and they're giving away tickets to the zoo, and they're giving away stuff at remotes. Like, this is awesome. And so at that point, I was just on my way. I had my first full-time job in radio when I was 18 years old.
Were you just doing promotions or like board op, those kind of things?
As an intern, I was doing Street Team. And so, anybody who's seen my TikTok channel, I talk often about, street team structure and treating street team, members right, because they truly are the first line of defense, and they get treated poorly by listeners more often than we will.
And get paid the least.
Oh, yeah. On top of it, like, think about how much money you're making at the remote and think about how much money they're making at the remote. The least you can do is buy them a soda on a hot day. And
yeah.
I remember the guy that did that. I vividly remember after the wedding show, do you want a Coke or you want a Sprite? Like, oh my God, he's buying me a soda? Like, this is crazy. I have to pay for my own parking at this venue that's going to cost me just as much as I made today. But, we did it. We put in the time. And we networked, and I vividly remember points in time in radio growing up and points in time in radio getting into the business, and how it shaped me to move forward and how people should be treated no matter what, no matter where they are on the totem pole.
You took an interest to that pretty early on, like you were noticing kind of, I guess, those dynamics.
Oh, 1,000%. And I mean, if you go back and listen to my mixtapes, I would mix in the calls. So pretend we're at the park and we're playing and you called the radio station, I would record it. And then I would take your call and I would mix it in to the tape. And then I would call the DJ and then I would say, oh, hey, can you play that new Boyz II Men song? But don't talk over it. Like, don't talk over it. I want to hear the whole thing. I got to record it.
How you would tell him.
Oh, totally. And it's funny when people would do that to you on the back end, you'd be like, what? No. But, putting those mixtapes together was and hustle in the neighborhood. We had an 8-track player that dubbed onto cassettes. That was kind of one of those things that didn't happen. So I was like the popular kid that could do that for all these old people that didn't know how to, do that. I got a cassette player in my new car and I don't know how to, I got to get my 8-tracks over. Well, you had a guy that could do it. So I took all that love for what we did and got into the business. But I would tell you, anybody that's getting into the business, expect to go down the path that you least expect. And so if I'm looking at it as, 16-year-old Kenny interning at the radio station, I'm going to be like, have you met me yet? Morning guy. Like, that's my path. That's what I felt. And I was on a construction site the summer between college and I was on a construction site between the summer I graduated high school and before I started college. And they listened to country music all day. And we had some country on, but not a lot. We had some on, so I knew some of it. And the foreman goes, you better like this country music because you're going to be working at a country station someday. And I'd be like, bullshit, no. But I liked it. You find a song you like here, you find a song you like there, you find a song you like there. And then I get my first job at 18 at a country station that's the size of our offices. And I have never done another format. I've been in country the entire time.
I know it's definitely a different, beast, like that country radio is different than top 40 radio. Is that why you kind of fell in love with it?
Yeah, I interned at KEEY in Minneapolis when I was in school, and these epic events, Garth Brooks doing 9 concerts and George Strait selling out the Metrodome, and the festivals, and I mean, all these things and the country artists that you met couldn't have been any cooler. It was this community that you could tell was really tight knit. And by that point, I'm discovering all these great 90s country songs. I mean, I'll say it, I'm a grown man. I went and bought the Dina Carter album, with Strawberry Wine and Shaved My Legs for This. And I bought that album at Best Buy. I remember exactly where I was. And that was the turning point. And it was all those songs of the 90s that hooked me in. I love the format. I love the format. And anybody that is not familiar with it, if you listen to it long enough, you're going to find a song here and an artist there and a song there and a song there. And before you know it, it's going to have you in as well.
That, like, what was it? Like, when people get in, like, oh, I want to be the guy that just is the superstar. Like, what kind of first drew you in? Or I just want to be the cool guy that's giving away the ticket.
I would say I want to make a difference, but I didn't realize in a charitable way. I saw people make a difference day in and day out in how people felt and how somebody who was on the air could build a community of people and influence their day in a positive way every single day, whether it's a quick laugh here, a take on a news story there. And, the fact that in Milwaukee, the guy would always have on the news guy from television at 4:50. So they would banter about a news story. And I remember one of them, like, a guy broke out of jail to go to Taco Bell and he bought 18 burritos and then tried to break himself back into jail. And that's how he got caught. And they joked about this story. And then 10 minutes later, the TV guy would be on the news in a tie, doing the news. And this fascination with, oh my God, like, how cool is that? Like, these guys are just here and they're entertaining. And it was the same for the Chicago, radio stations that I got exposed to. It was world-class entertainment in audio form that isn't duplicated anywhere else. You can't make a podcast like they did radio back then in Chicago. And it was special. It drew you in. It made you feel like you were part of something, and it influenced your day in a positive way. So it's amazing when you think about what radio does on a day in and day out basis. If you listen to an hour of your show at any given point in time, really ask yourself, did I influence somebody's day? Did I change their day for the positive? Did I do something to make their day better by what I said or how I related to them? Because that's what radio can do at its basic core. And that's the part that I think sometimes we get away from with the way that it's changed into 2023 and beyond. I got that first job and they said, we're going to pay you $16,900. And that was $3,000 more than what college told me I should be making at a job like this. So I'm like 18 years old. Yes, sign me up. I want it all. I bought a new car. I had an apartment. I was like, all my friends were still in college. And so I was the one with money. But then 5 years later, they all got IT jobs and they were making 50 grand. And here I am making 18 grand. And I'm going, well, now I think it's time to start the climb. And so started the climb, and it was La Crosse, Wisconsin, and it was Madison, Wisconsin, and then, Savannah, Georgia, Minneapolis, Seattle, and Chicago. And it got interesting in 2020 in the COVID class. There were, I think, 25 of us out of, 30 that were, attached to US 99 at that particular time, that we were out. And I was very fortunate at that point to jump to the record side of the business, and we launched that Morgan Wallen Dangerous the Double album. And so I got a really interesting look at the record business, and a look that I'm extremely grateful for. It was a year of just pure education. I got to sit in on all the Zooms. I got to go, do the recording. I got to see how it all worked. So with that, I did some artist management projects. And finally, I got to a point where it's like, okay, I don't necessarily want to chase artists around to get them to do TikToks. Like that's, like, people, you guys are paying me really well to do this. I don't really want to do that. I remember I was in downtown Nashville. I sent a video message to my now partner, Becky Brenner, about this on and off conversation that we had about consulting. And I said, "Hey, Becky," I said, is that opportunity still available? I'd love to talk about it. And she said, "Yeah." And we put it together shortly after.
Talk to somebody a little bit about that like doesn't know you, because because I pointed some people to you, so some have listened, but just that somebody that maybe they do see a tweet and they're like, where you're soliciting air checks. Tell them a little bit more, I guess, about you, like what they're getting from when they do reach out and actually do something.
I just love to connect with people, and I want to hear the story, and I want to hear what you're doing and what you want to do. And I've got a big bank of talent because I work with markets across the country in all kinds of formats, not just country. So if I work with a guy who runs 18 stations across a whole region, he's got a lot of formats that he's looking, hey, do you know somebody who could do CHR nights for me? Hey, do you know somebody who could do classic hits mornings? Like we're constantly looking for people within not just our company, but with our group, our people that are, that I'm tight with, to say like, okay, hey, I'm looking for somebody here, yes, you're going to want to go work for this person and do this. So when they come to me, I just really kind of want to know the story and what you do. And is there a roadblock in you getting there? Because I'll tell you, you flash back to, the year 2000, I had internet, but I didn't have access to all the tools that are available today. A, being part of a community, B, learning how to do so many things. So many people have put so much value out on YouTube now. And so for me, I look at it and go, I had to buy the selector tapes, the VHS tapes, and learn how to do selector off of VHS tapes so I could at least get my hands, in it and say like, I know how to use selector, and then, kind of, and so I could move myself up. But I look at it now, if people come to me, I want to put out a lot of value. I want to help give back and educate the industry, and not only just, me air checking talent, but me coaching the coaches, me, helping, business. Business is a big part of what we do now more than ever, and we could dive more into that. But there's so many elements of what we do and what we bring to the table that are beneficial for people. And it's a small business. Let's connect. Let's be friends.
Is it still just you two, or have you guys expanded yet?
It's just Becky and I. We have a couple freelancers who do, we have like a 50-page prep sheet we put out to our clients every day. And we've got a daily wake-up call newsletter that is put together by somebody. And we have one person who helps a little bit in the music research department. But for the most part, I am the music research department. So I'm touching all the songs from all the different data points that we have to put together and make sure that our clients are playing the right songs. And by the way, people think, oh, a consultant comes in and is going to tell me what to do and tell me what to play. Like, not going to do that. East Coast, West Coast, I've been on all the coasts. I've been North and South. It's different. And the middle of the country shouldn't sound like the Bay Area and shouldn't sound like New York City. It's just, that's not how local radio is going to win in 2023 and beyond. So while we do put out a list, we do dive into those markets and do encourage those markets that, if Lainey Wilson is from your town, play Lainey Wilson, get ahead of it. Like, everybody's going to want to hear their hometown girl. And that always rings true. And those markets should not sound like each other. The Texas and Oklahoma don't sound like the coast, and they shouldn't. Every market that I work with is different. And so I'll go into a market and see that their music scheduler is an absolute disaster. But they don't have anybody training them on how to do it. Okay, well, let's get this fixed. You guys buy a Cadillac and you pay for a Cadillac. Don't push it around the block. Let's make your job easier by doing this. What else can we do to make your job easier? Let's automate these processes to make your job easier so that you get all these left brain little things done and in place so that you can come and focus on the right brain things that really drive your ratings, they drive your revenue, and they drive you within the framework of a company to be better, to achieve your own personal goals. And that gives you extra time to air check your talent, to be on social media consistently. I realize that the email database conversation is from 2002, but for the most part, there's a few radio places that do it really well. There's a lot that don't. And you need to. So even if you could pick 3 of those elements, for me, it would be Facebook, TikTok, and email marketing, and do them really, really well. Leave everything else off to the side.
I was just going to ask, so those the top 3 that you would say stations should focus on right now?
My top 3 for anybody right now, in no particular order: TikTok, email marketing, Facebook. Facebook for country, because it's the cume leader for country, and country is a format most of our stations are country. Country as a format is consistently late to the party when it comes to technology. And so it's still the cume leader, but it's going to be the cume leader for just about everybody. And kids can say, well, I snap more now because I don't want to be with my parents on Facebook. They're still logging in. Like they're still there. Until it's not the cume leader anymore, then we'll move on to something else. But I mean, if I had to put one, two, three, TikTok, a number one. And the shift in focus that anybody should have, and this is easy for me to say because it's funny because I have clients that go, hey, when you come to the market, what are you just going to do? You're going to tell us to get on TikTok? Yeah, I'm going to tell you to get on TikTok, and I'm going to show you how to do it the right way so that you have success with it, because it is a platform that absolutely works. I've seen it work for radio people, and I'm actually branching off into helping small business owners, entrepreneurs learn how to use TikTok and break it down and build it up the right way, because TikTok is entertainment with social media. It's not social media. And when you think of it that way and you retrain your brain to go, okay, hey, I'm going to entertain here in a unique way, in a very narrow niche, and just go after it over and over and over again. I'm not going to interact with your non-radio posts on my radio account. I'm not going to interact with anything else outside my running account. Those two accounts are protected, and those two accounts are set and built for success within the TikTok algorithm based on the interest of how it feeds people what they're interested in. I think the mistake that radio people make the most when it comes to TikTok, we have a long runway to be successful on TikTok. And I'll give you an example, and I'll come back to radio in a second. There's a small business that is about storytelling and storytelling for your brand. And they're entrepreneurs. They got on a TikTok a month ago, and they're already at 40,000 followers. They're delivering value, and they're very focused on delivering value with video. This is how you do it with video. This is how you do it with animation. So they're very focused on that, and they do that over and over and over again. Where radio people miss on TikTok is they just don't focus on one thing. They think it's just like every other form of social media. So I'm going to scatter shot my life. This is me, and if it's me, this is me as a hockey coach with my kids. This is me taking my daughter to dance. This is me raking leaves in the backyard. This is me getting ready for the blizzard that's on the way. Like, yeah, it's not your life day in and day out. You pick a lane and you go down it, and you only interact with your lane. If it's true crime, be passionate about it. If it's cooking videos, be passionate about it. And there's some great radio examples, I think, that are below the fold, so to speak, of people that are doing it really, really well. We all know about Brew, and we know about people that are doing it really well. When you look at people like Dana at Jump in Ottawa, she's the one that started the top 5 songs in 2001, and that audio gets used over and over and over and over again on people's TikToks. Or Heather at Mix 94.1 in Las Vegas. Heather, she's the Las Vegas. Like, I go to her when I go to Las Vegas. I go through her TikTok channel. I find all the cool places, and then I take my father-in-law out. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, and that's her thing. And it's funny because she'll get on and she'll go like, "You guys don't want to see anything about my normal life." That's because the algorithm said no. They just wanted you to tell us about Las Vegas.
The voiceover is done well. The lighting.
Again, it delivers what you want. So a great example is I have a former employee of mine in Minneapolis who got out of the business and became a sober life coach. And he's following his passion. He's an entrepreneur, and he's doing this thing. And I would like his post, and I'd comment on his post. And it was all about, hey, let's go. Way to go, Chris. Let's go, Chris. And before I knew it, my feed started filling up with sober life coaches. And I mean, we're here. We're having a beverage. Like, I'm not into the sober life coach world. I'm trying to support my boy Chris over here. But when the algorithm feeds you what you want to see, play into that. If you're a new morning show in a market, or you're a new talent in a new place, you don't have to go out and walk 80 parades anymore. You just have to do TikTok really well. And radio people that say, I don't want to do TikTok. I don't think people get it. I don't know about you. I would love to hang a banner in my listeners' front room and just be able to look at it and have them look at it every single day when they're filling out diaries or when they're thinking about what they're going to listen to on the radio. It's a great way to connect.
What is the pushback like that you're seeing still? Like,
the pushback is time, and the pushback is habit. 90% of getting on and doing it is habit. So what I would challenge you to do if you were coming to me for coaching on TikTok specifically, I'd say, okay, let's lean into really what you want to do. Again, is it true crime? Is it grilling? Is it cooking videos in my garage? Is it fixing my car? Do I have some sort of storyline that I can go through? There's a great lesson in the music business that I was taught, when I was there with Walker Hayes. Fancy Like, one of your favorite songs, by the way. Fancy Like, you didn't think I was going to not slip that in there, did you? Fancy Like, Walker Hayes built that based on dancing with his kids in the kitchen during the pandemic. And when he went into Applebee's and, read the script as they gave it to him, after it hit, TikTok didn't work. But when he danced outside of Applebee's with the Applebee's sign in the background like this, it worked because he was doing what everybody had accepted him to do at that point. So I would tell at this point, get to 1,000. If you have a show, get to 1,000 by doing something. E. White's doing food reviews up in Minneapolis, Gas or Pass. Like I mentioned, Dana's doing the top 5 songs from Pick a Year and then playing the hooks of the song and just dancing to it in the studio. Everybody's going to have something that they can do, even if it's just your signature feature that is on your show. Corny dad joke of the day, trivia of the day, whatever it is, put it on. Do it over and over and over again every single day and get some traction that way. Get to 1,000, and then you can take 15 minutes a day and go live in the studio and show that behind the scenes, because you know what? No matter what people think about this business outside of this business, it's still pretty cool to look inside of a radio station and see what's going on. What I tell a show right now with TikTok, work it into the system in some way, shape, or form and start. Maybe it's just, hey, you know what? I can post every Tuesday, TikTok Tuesday. Make it easy for yourself to remember. Make it a habit. Do it over and over again. And then add Thursday. And then add Saturday. And then come back. And if you really can get on TikTok and post, interact with your niche. So for me, I only interact with radio. Very rarely will you see me step off and interact with anything outside of radio. Interact with your niche and then, leave comments, save videos to your collections, do all the things, and then go in and 30 days in a row, post at least once a day. And I did that as an experiment, and I put 300 followers on the board in a month, in an instant. And then I stop for a month, and then I do it again, and then there's another 300. So you can see how it actually works versus the scattershot life of, I'm running a marathon, I'm dancing with my daughter in the basement, I'm ice skating around Maggie Daly Park in downtown Chicago. Like TikTok doesn't know what to do with you at that point.
To the, I guess, management and stuff that's like, well, what does that do for my ratings or revenue?
I would say it elevates your talent to a place that it makes them more visible. They're going to show up. If they're local, they're going to start showing up in these clients' For You pages. They're going to start hitting on some content. You want to hang the banner in the living room for listeners. It gives endorsement opportunities. I think it's the big miss right now for radio, to sell TikTok and to sell radio endorsements side by side. I know people that are clearing $6,000 on their own just in stuff that they hustle up on the side for their own TikTok channels. The money is there. And you know what? Maybe you leave it church and state. Like, you take everything talent that you make on the side, and we get to sell in and take X from this, and then we'll put an endorsement on the air with it. We're missing that opportunity right now. And the more that stations kind of wrap their head around the fact that this entertainment platform is not going anywhere. I sound like I'm doing an endorsement for TikTok. I'm not paid for them. I just think it's a really great way for us to publicize what we do in a meaningful way. They want to be, think about this. You open TikTok a year from now, they want your Netflix in there. They want your Spotify. They want all of your time in that app. I want to be there. I want to be there in a meaningful way with my radio station, my radio talent, with whatever they want to present. And by the way, radio management, let your talent lean into what they're passionate about. Don't make them do something you want them to do. And again, if it's, hey, Marie wants to show all the cool vintage stuff that she collects from estate sales on the weekends, let her do that. There's a market for that.
What about for people that are like, well, I don't have a social media person?
You find the time. If it's meaningful, you will find the time. And that is with anything that you do in life. If you want to get up and work out at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's the only time that you will get to work out because you're a busy parent or a busy radio person, or you've got 2 jobs or whatever it is, if you really want it, you'll find the time. And again, if you can start with 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, just going in and interacting, just going in and liking. You're going to watch and like stuff. That's pretty easy, right? Just watching TikTok for 15 minutes a day. Do that for 2 or 3 weeks. And then you go in and put the camera in your face and make it really low rent. Get over the fact that it's not going to be super polished. That's okay. Those are the videos that sometimes hit the best on TikTok. Unpolished is the new polished. So put the camera in front of your face and give us a look at what's going on, or what you're setting up, or what this channel is going to be about. And then take me on the journey. Take me on the journey for 30 days. And, it doesn't, sometimes smarter, not harder. If you look at my channel on TikTok, I'm going to put out more content that I feel is valuable just from my corner of the world. But all the stuff that I put out is all built on content that's already done. Somebody's already done the TikTok, and I'm just going to duet it, and I'm going to give my personal take, and I'm going to get a rating. And oh, by the way, if you go to the comments, I'm going to say, this is why you shouldn't do it this way, but this is the way that you should do it and why.
So let's say you and we met at CRS and you're telling me this stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is great. Like, I want to send you my air check. We talk, we do the thing. And I'm like, man, I would love to work with you more, and learn more about how to do my social and get air checked and all that. But like, there's no way my boss is going to play into that. Do you work with people like that, or do they only have to be under a station umbrella?
Oh, no, I work with individual talent. I have individual talent. Look at it this way. A lot of marathon runners like myself pay a coach. We run, right? This is easy. You put one foot in front of the other. We do radio. This is easy. You turn on the mic and you start talking. It's not that easy. And when you have that person that can help you, and you can, be accountable to outside of the station, it really will drive you into, new ways of thinking and into a better place. That's what a marathon coach does for me in running marathons. I would have no idea how to fuel. I would have no idea how to do workouts and put them in my phone and do all that stuff. Like, I let somebody take care of that for me. So when it comes to talent, just looking at it from the outside, hey, let's say the station's not involved. I work with talent, and sometimes it is just on a like, hey, let's do 3 months and let's really, look at what we can do to kind of amplify and get you ready for the book. Or let's look at 6 months because we're starting at ground zero with a show. And you know what? I'm not in those cases, I'm not going to charge you an arm and a leg to be part. And you're going to have all the same high touch, easy access to me as a consultant as my clients do that, pay full freight, that are radio stations or radio groups or whatever it may be. It'll be structured, we'll have our times that we connect, but you'll get a lot of resources to be better. And so I look at those situations as an opportunity to make the greater business better. But like, if we go back to your initial question and you say, hey, we met at CRS, can I send you an air check every once in a while? Send me an air check. I don't have any. I'll take 10 minutes and listen to it and send you back a couple top line notes and let you know what you're doing. That's free charge. I'm not charging anybody for that.
What do you say to like the radio is dead crowd?
Radio's not dead. Radio's not dead. First of all, the first thing that we need to do in radio is remove the word terrestrial from our language. Anybody that uses the word terrestrial in a broadcast radio sense, that should be a swear word, and that should not be allowed on the air. When I was in management and in records, that was one of the biggest things I said. I'm like, don't use terrestrial. You can say it to Sirius. You can say it to everybody else. Don't say it to radio. Call them broadcast. They're broadcast. Don't frame us old, because there's a lot of people in radio that are doing some cutting edge things. And there's a lot of worldwide radio that is a lot more cutting edge. When you start to dive into England, and you start to dive into Australia, and you look at like KISS in Australia, like they've had cameras in their studios for years. So they're way ahead of the game on TikToks. Capital and BBC overseas, like you see them on TikTok, they've inherently done that because that's what they've always done. So the radio is dead thing? No, we have a lot more platforms to broadcast our content from. And that's the opportunity. We have an opportunity still at its core to come back and impact somebody's day in a positive way. and put it out on all these different channels. We're the OG content creators.
Mm-hmm. And
We're not
influencers.
1,000%. And when you see, there's a story in the New York Times recently about a bunch of influencers who colluded to send the stock market up and then send it down, and they bilked a bunch of people out of money because they were trading influencers. I took that article and I sent it to a bunch of client stations, and I said, this should reiterate your position about your endorsers being trusted names and trusted entities and voices in their markets. Like, this is a perfect story of why you can't just go and drop $500 on somebody you don't know on social media, because you never know what they're a part of. And all these guys were all charged with colluding on cheating people out of thousands of dollars of stock money. By the way, this is another reason why radio is far from dead. It will have a different place in people's life, but it will always be important if we make it important for the listener. And that's the key. I work with kids at our local high school. They used to have a radio station way back in the day, WGBS. And WGBS went away because they couldn't have unsupervised kids in the school after 9 o'clock. And the station really only broadcast to like a couple city blocks of where the high school was. They revived the radio station into a live 365 channel, and they've got a Shure microphone, and they've got a voice tracker, and they've got all the bells and whistles. They have banners. They do drive, the drive-in show as kids are walking into school. They're passionate about it. They're there, but they see it in a content creator standpoint. They don't see it strictly radio, analog, tower to somebody's radio anymore, which is a great thing that I think keeps us all thinking about the business a little bit different. They see it as like the world is a big ball of content, and where can I, start to look at my portfolio? I can do, and you guys have talked about this on the Radio Fan podcast, I can do A, B, C, D, and E within my market, and I can be super successful. And the radio show is just one element of that. It might not even be the number one thing that is on that list. It might be number 2 or 3, but you start mixing in social media, podcasting, being the local influencer, the local go-to person. There's a lot that the business has to give. But I see these kids, they're passionate about the business, and they're there if we allow them to be there. If we give them content that will bring them back. And just like I tell any talent, you got to make yourself DVR worthy. DVR worthy being, if the average is people listen to the radio for an hour and 46 minutes a day, twice a week, that's the Nielsen average for 2022. It's going to be somewhere in that area. Can you bring them back 3 days? Can you bring them back to your show 4 days? Do you have content that is sticky enough to bring them back 5 days? DVR worthy talent that if I miss a day, I miss a lot. And man, I should not have missed the show yesterday. I get it's hard, but you can invest in yourself and you can have an impact in your career right now. You just have to start. Again, like we mentioned with starting on TikTok, starting is 90% of the game. It's not going to be perfect. We hear Chris Cruz say start shitty all the time, and it's not going to be perfect when you start, but you're going to find you're going to find it. You're going to find your lane, and you're going to find your comfort zone, and you're going to be able to go and grow, and people are going to be able to grow along with you. And there's something to be said about, you see these businesses start up on social media, and you follow it from the time that, they start and they're bankrupt and broke, and they're mortgaging their house and they don't know what they're going to do, and then all of a sudden they hit that first $1 million offer that comes in and they're all celebrating. We watched Priscilla Block in the country world start, hey, I'm sending demos to Nashville and here's my songs and I'm putting them out on TikTok. And then you saw the story go from that to her signing a record deal, to her going out on tour, to her, singing songs in a like a legit recording studio as opposed to her bedroom closet. Like you take people on a journey. It's, if you can tell the story the right way,
your journey.
Yeah. If you can tell the story in a meaningful way and keep people wanting to come back for more, they're going to. And you can rise above what people would say about normal radio people. All the things we hear. I don't listen to the radio. The radio's dead. Like, my kids don't listen to the radio. Again, like, rise above that, because you can. We have the tools now today that we never had back in 1997. We barely got on the internet back then, because community building is one of the hardest things to do in the world. And it doesn't matter if it's radio people or if it's small business. I'm part of all these communities of different things. Community building is really hard, and it takes a lot of determination, and it takes a lot of effort. And you have done it in a meaningful way for people, whether you hear it every single day or not. Like, it's helped a lot of people get through either a tough time. It's helped them connect with people who are like-minded, who are maybe in a similar situation. It's helped people move forward and advance. It's helped people personally get better. It's helped people make their stations and their situations be better. You've done that. Whether you get the credit for it or not, you are responsible
it's help from people
for that.
like you too. It's not just me. We're all a family.
Proud to be part of it.
Can you see I take compliments well?
Don't deflect. This is just where Marie says thank you.
Oh, thank you. I know I get that a lot. People are like, just shut up and say thank you.